Hey guys, it's Anyango here again, hoping that you are healthy, wealthy, and free, and loving your life as always, all day, every day is how we do. Yeah. Today has been an enlightening day in a weird way. So I started listening to an audio by Ralph Waldo Emerson. So it's an audio of his book, but not read by him, and it's called self-reliance. Okay, which self-reliance is basically being dependable on yourself. When you say that you're going to do something, when I say that I'm going to do something, then I make sure that I actually complete that task. So my idea, my feeling towards self-reliance is that if I cannot be self-reliant, for at least with my own tasks, like when I say that I'm going to do something for myself, that I'm actually going to make sure that I do it. If I cannot do that, then I have no reason to trust myself with other people's tasks, other people's assignments, other people's jobs, and that kind of thing. So if I can't, if my word is not my bond to myself, then how can it be my bond to somebody else? So the first person that's affected by me should be me, right? So that's my idea behind this self-reliance thing. And listening to this audio today, and he had some really interesting concepts behind it. Of course, this is Ralph Waldo Emerson, and okay, the one thing that I'll say is listening to the audio is difficult because it's old English, so it's not the easiest thing to listen to the words and everything and the sentence structures, but you get used to it. You get used to it as you go on. Then you start to expect the old language, those complex words and all that. So it was difficult, but then it got easy as I continued listening. And so some of the concepts that he touches on are, for example, standing on your own, not freely falling for what people tell you. For example, well, we've all grown up, everything that we know is based on what we take in from our environment. They say our most constructive, our most formative years are between the age of 1 to 6, 7 years old, and basically at that time we've been with our parents. So our core structure, our foundation in terms of our thoughts is from our parents, right? And from the community that we grew up with, or whoever raised you. Okay. And what he says is that now when we get to this age, or to a certain age, then you at some point need to stop just relying on what you have been told, on ask questions. You need to be able to question what you know, right? Because it's not what you know, it's what you've been told. And then he says how with religion we have refused to speak to God directly, but willingly refer to books written by man and base our lives on them. So this is me just paraphrasing after I had listened to the audio, so don't quote me. But then now he basically talks about how this notion of these people, the stories that we read about Moses, for example, who went up to the mountain and spoke directly with God, and then he would come down and his face was shining, and the people were afraid to actually meet or talk directly with God. They were like, no, you go and you do it, and so we are willing to accept this knowledge and information that comes from a mere mortal like us, and accept it as our fate forever, which is how most of us take religion. So religion is as it is, and I'm going to abide by this forever, for the rest of my life, and not question it at all. In terms of education, if you've studied a craft, a certain craft, then you're expected to, for example, now what we all know as the professions to have, medicine or law, engineering and the like, and if you studied these crafts, then you're expected, once you graduate and you get the degree, then there is this whole pride, about what you have done. And if you complete this degree and then don't get a job, and you're now given this leeway by the community, by the society, to complain, because you studied so hard, you should get a job, you should be able to use this very important skill that you have learned, and give it back. And why isn't the government doing something about it, or whoever else? Again, this is me paraphrasing my understanding of what was said in the book, so do not quote me, but listen. Okay. And he says, all these graduated professions are held up, are put on a certain pedestal, and then when there's an uneducated entrepreneur that comes from, he learns how to farm, and then learns how to use a computer, and he's typing, and he's doing laundry, and he's making money from like 5 different places, and then eventually, and he gets into Congress, and he makes money from all these different ways, and he becomes rich. And you see, this man we also praise a lot, but then why would we praise him and then give the other guy that apparently has this knowledge, has this skill, the leeway to complain and give up on life because he didn't get employment? What is that? I mean, if you have that skill, then you should employ it in different ways. You should be striving enough to do all these other things in addition to that skill that you have. Okay, that's another thing in terms of education that he talked about. But what I loved most about what he said was this idea we have about being consistent. So we all believe that you need to be consistent throughout your life. Consistency is what makes you. I have a video where I talk about how character, you need to decide the character that you want to have in your life, and then build on that, so you are known as an honest person, as a self-reliant person, as a trustworthy person, as a dependable person, and so on and so forth. And just one act that you do against this character that you've built would destroy your character completely. Like once you do that and you're affected by it, then everybody, even those who had seen you do right before, will constantly in the future doubt you based on this one act. So you have to be very careful about your character, and that kind of plays into the idea of consistency. You need to be consistent in terms of your character. And what Ralph says is that this idea of being consistent and not allowing yourself to change, to, if you speak very strongly today about, for example, I am a Democrat and believe in democracy and all that, then you will always believe that, and even if your ideas or your beliefs behind that change, then you, with the fear of what society will do, of how society will react towards you changing your mind, will continue to spit out that same nonsense that you have been talking about in the past, and not changing what you say because you fear what the community, the society will say about you. And what he says is that the funny thing is that all the great people from the past, Socrates, Plato, all these people that have really become great, are very contradictory people, they're very antagonistic people. Before they reached this level of greatness that we give them, everybody was against them. Everybody was against what they were saying and what they were talking about, and so he basically says that there's nothing wrong with being inconsistent. There's nothing wrong with changing your mind about what you think. I mean, now this plays into something else that I heard previously, that I've listened to previously, that talks about this actually came from Mind Valley, from Vishen Lahiani. If you don't know about Mind Valley, you are come on. And he talks about how we need to be able to upgrade our modes of thinking, just like we keep updating our softwares and our computers and all technology, we keep on improving them. We need to be given the leeway, the opportunity, the allowance to upgrade our methods of thinking, what we think, how we think, you know, who we believe this time and who we believe the next time. Tony Robbins says that when he talks about beliefs, when he tells you that I believe this or I believe that, he calls them lies. And he calls them lies not because they are untrue, but because he is giving himself the leeway to change his mind in future if he decides to, right? So if I decide this is my lie, this is what I'm telling myself right now that I believe. But if in 2 days, in 2 years, in 20 years, I decide that that I believe something else, I am allowed to say that, you know, because I have changed my mode of thinking, you know, and that is okay. This gives us the freedom to explore different ways of thinking, explore all these different methods that have been adapted over time or that are coming up. Expose yourself to them, understand them, immerse yourself in them if it's something that you really want to understand, and then decide whether or not it's for you or not for you. And if you decide one thing one time and then something else the next time, so I changed my mind. It is my mind. It's not yours, you know, right? So that's something that really hit me, and I was like, you know, I still need to digest the whole idea behind it properly and really understand it, because I'm sure it does not contradict the fact about character, because if as a character trait you say that you will always be honest in what you say, then me saying one thing one day, another thing the other day, doesn't make me dishonest, doesn't make me untrustworthy or inconsistent, you know, in those terms. It's just that was my truth then and this is my truth now, you know, and that's just the way it is. I will always speak the truth that I have in the moment, and we are allowed to change that depending on our circumstances. So of course there are limits to this in other ways, and so on and so forth, but think about it, you know, like this is something very interesting, you know. So that has been something that, like, this is what I got today, and I thought that I'd share this, and let me know what you think. Really, I'd really like to hear what you think. All right, that was my share, my gem for the day. I hope you enjoyed it. Ciao.